My name is Sienna Blake, and I'm 27 years old. If you'd looked at my life on paper a few months ago, you'd probably have said something like, she's fine, she's safe, she's got it together. Tiny but bright apartment with plants that only died if I forgot to open the blinds for an entire week. Every bill on autopay. A car that wouldn't turn a single head in a parking lot but started every morning, even in February. A retirement account I actually contributed to, even when it meant saying no to once-in-a-lifetime trips my friends insisted we'd tell our grandkids about. I didn't get there by accident. I built that life one spreadsheet at a time, line item by line item. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I was the sensible one, the friend with jumper cables in the trunk and a backup charger in her bag. The person you put down as your emergency contact without thinking twice. The one people texted screenshots of their bank app to when their balance looked like a crime scene and they needed someone who could stare at negative numbers without panicking. People said it like a compliment. Sometimes it felt like a label you slap on a fire extinguisher. Useful, necessary, comforting to have around, until someone decides you're also responsible for cleaning up all the fires they start. That's where my boyfriend came in. Logan Ward was 25, charming in that I can talk my way out of anything kind of way. On social media, he was a content creator, lifestyle influencer, brand in progress. In real life, he was a guy whose income rarely matched his captions. When we first started dating, I didn't notice the imbalance right away. He picked up the tab sometimes, brought flowers once in a while, posted cute photos of us with long captions about how much he appreciated my support. Then his hours at his day job got cut. Then he quit to focus on his brand. Then somehow, I was paying. It started small. He forgot his wallet at dinner, didn't have quite enough for his phone bill. This month only, needed help with a card payment just this one time. I had the money and I loved him, so I helped. But just this once became a credit card in my name that he was an authorized user on, and then a second card. Then his line on my phone plan, his car insurance under my policy, his gym membership, streaming services, even half the apps and tools he used for content. Every month, about $1,800 of my carefully curated stability quietly bled into his lifestyle. He had an explanation for everything, and I had a spreadsheet for everything, so we both felt useful. That's how I justified it anyway. Then there was Kara. Kara Mills was 26, Logan's best friend from college, and, as he said casually one night, "Oh yeah, we dated for a minute back then, but it was nothing. We're better as friends." She was the one who dropped heart eye emojis on his posts before I even got to hit like. The one he called K in his captions. The one whose name popped up on his phone with little fireworks emojis next to it at midnight. "You're overthinking it," he'd say when he caught me glancing at his screen. "We've just known each other forever." She's like, old news. Old news with a suspiciously fresh glow, but sure. I pushed down the unease because that's what sensible people do. We don't make scenes. We don't demand passwords. We rationalize. We give benefit of the doubt. I wish I could tell you the moment that switched off for me was some dramatic revelation. Cheating photos, anonymous messages, something cinematic. It was a text. I was at my desk at work, staring at a budget forecast when my phone buzzed. Logan. "Hey, love. Kara's roommate bailed and she's offering me the extra room for super cheap. This is huge for me. I need this, Sienna. A place where I can focus on my brand without distractions." I blinked at the screen, reread it twice, waiting for the punchline. He kept going. "So here's what I'm thinking. I move in there, just for a while. I need to reset and really dial in. No contact for a month so I can figure myself out. We're still together, obviously. I just need space. Love you." No contact for a month while he moved in with his ex-girlfriend, who still sent him heart eye emojis. I stared at that message for a solid 5 minutes, the way you stare at a number on your bank statement that cannot possibly be right. Somewhere between no contact and we're still together, something fragile in me cracked. The old version of me, the one who would have sent a 3-paragraph reply about boundaries and feelings and how this made me uncomfortable, started drafting in my head. I could almost see the bullet points. But another version of me, the one who spends her life turning chaos into clean columns, pushed to the front. He wanted space. He wanted no contact. He wanted to live with his ex and still call me his girlfriend while I funded the background of his little experiment. "Understood," I typed. That was it, one word. Then I opened my banking apps. I didn't do it while crying. I didn't even feel angry at first. I felt cold, focused. The way I feel when I'm rebuilding a spreadsheet someone has absolutely destroyed. Card number 1, the main one he used. I pulled up the settings, removed him as an authorized user, and deactivated the card. The balance was sickening. Just under $7,000. Minimums I had been paying like a fool. Card number 2, same process. Limit $5,000, nearly maxed. I revoked his access, set a payment plan for myself, and marked the date on my mental calendar as the day I finally stopped the bleeding. I opened my phone account, removed his line, effective immediately. Car insurance, his name off my policy. Gym membership canceled. Music streaming, movie apps, any service where he had a little profile icon that made him feel seen, closed, changed, locked down. Even the online shopping account he used for business expenses, ring lights, tripods, props, and a frankly insane number of content outfits. I deregistered him and wiped his saved info. It took about an hour. When I was done, my hands were shaking, not from sadness, but from the adrenaline rush of finally aligning my actions with reality. He wanted a month of no contact, so I gave it to him. I blocked his number. The first 3 days were quiet. I went to work, came home, watered my plants, ate leftovers while watching shows he'd always insisted were too boring. I slept through the night for the first time in weeks. On day 4, my phone lit up like a slot machine. Unknown numbers, voicemails stacking up. The first one was from Sarah, one of Logan's friends. Sienna, oh my God, what did you do? Logan's card stopped working and he's freaking out. This is so low. Can you please call him? He says you're punishing him. The second was from his mom, Linda. Hi, Sienna, it's Linda. There's some mix-up with Logan's cards. He thinks it's a glitch with the bank. Can you fix it? He's really upset. The third one made me sit down. Logan calling from what had to be Kara's phone. What the hell, Sienna? My card got declined at a store in front of everyone. How could you do this? This is financial manipulation. Fix it now. I replayed that word, manipulation. It floated in the air above my kitchen table, absurd and heavy, while I stared at the text where he'd told me he was moving in with Kara and needed a month away from me to focus. My thumb hovered over his voicemail, then over the blocked contacts list. He wanted distance. He got it. I pressed delete. Later that night, another voicemail from him came through a different unknown number. This time his voice was thick, somewhere between angry and panicked. Sienna, please, my car insurance lapsed and I got a ticket. It's $450. I can't pay it. Kara saw my card get declined at the grocery store and I had to pretend I grabbed the wrong card. Turn the cards back on. I'll pay you back, I swear. This is so embarrassing. Embarrassing. The same emotion I'd swallowed every time I'd quietly covered his bills so he wouldn't look bad. The same feeling I'd buried when he posted about being self-made while I watched the charges hit my account. For the first time, I let the embarrassment sit on someone else. I put my phone face down on the table and exhaled, a long, shaky breath that felt like the beginning of something I couldn't quite name yet. I didn't know it then, but that one-word reply, understood, was the moment the story flipped. He thought he was stepping into a month of freedom. He had no idea I'd finally decided to free myself. By the end of that week, my call log looked like a graveyard of unknown numbers. Every time I cleared the notifications, more appeared. Voicemails stacked up like bills in a mailbox no one wanted to open. A few were just heavy breathing, and then a hang-up. Those I didn't even bother with. Others I listened to once. Sarah again. Sienna, seriously, he can't live like this. You can't just cut someone off overnight. That's cruel. Linda, sounding more frazzled this time. Hi again, honey. Logan says he can't access any of his cards. Is there something you can do? I know you two are going through something, but this is really stressing him out. I wondered what Linda would say if I forwarded her a neat PDF of the last year's statement history. Then there was Logan, bouncing from one borrowed phone to another. Sienna, answer the phone. This is insane. Sienna, you're being petty. I said a month. Why can't you respect my process? Sienna, this is literally abuse. You're messing with my financial autonomy. That one almost made me laugh out loud. My fingers itched to reply with a spreadsheet. A tab for every month, color-coded by necessary and Logan's ego. But explaining myself would have pulled me back into the same spiral I'd finally climbed out of. So I did nothing. I went to work. I came home. I paid my own bills. I let the noise stay outside my locked door. The quiet didn't last. 2 weeks after the text, the I'm moving in with Kara, no contact, love you text, I got a different kind of notification. A knock. It was a hard, steady knock that didn't sound like a neighbor or a delivery. The kind of knock that says, "I'm not leaving." I froze in the middle of my living room, every muscle in my body going tight. For a second, stupidly, I thought if I stayed still, they'd think I wasn't home and go away. Then someone rang the doorbell, twice. I walked to the peephole, heart pounding. Logan stood there in the hallway, shoulders sagged, eyes darting. No perfectly styled hair, no ring light glow. Hoodie, sweats, sneakers that had seen better days. Next to him, leaning against the wall with her arms folded, was Kara. Of course. She was in leggings and an oversized shirt, no makeup, dark circles etched under her eyes. She looked tired. Not the effortless, curated tired she posted online. Real tired. I swallowed, then opened the door just enough to block most of the frame with my body. "Hi," I said. Logan didn't bother with a greeting. "We need to talk," he said, pushing the words through clenched teeth. "You asked for no contact for a month," I replied calmly. "It's been 2 weeks." He rolled his eyes. "Oh my God, Sienna, don't be dramatic. You know what you did." "Enlighten me," I said, even though we both knew why he was here. He gestured wildly. "You tanked my credit. All my cards are off. I can't pay for anything. I have a brand meeting tomorrow and I can't even get my hair cut. Kara had to pay for groceries. This is insane." Kara shifted uncomfortably at the mention of groceries. "That's your problem," I said, keeping my voice level. Kara finally spoke up. "Look, I get that you're upset, but this is kind of harsh, Sienna. He was relying on those cards. You didn't even warn him." I turned my attention to her, forcing myself not to look at the faint line of old lipstick staining her mouth, like she'd put it on earlier and given up halfway through the day. "Those cards," I said slowly, "are in my name, my credit, my responsibility. I was the one paying them. Every month. He was relying on my money. So no, I didn't warn him that I'd stop letting him use me." Logan scoffed. "Use you? Are you serious right now? I told you I needed support while I built my brand. That's what partners do. Partners don't move in with their ex and demand a month of no contact while still expecting their girlfriend to pay their bills," I shot back. Kara's arms tightened across her chest. "It's not like that," Logan snapped. "We're just roommates. We've been friends forever. You know that." "She's your ex-girlfriend," I said. "You forgot that part in your text. But my bank account remembered." His jaw clenched, that familiar flicker of anger flashing behind his eyes. "You're controlling me financially," he said. "You cut off my cards, my phone, my insurance. That's financial abuse. I could literally take you to court for this." I let out a breath that was almost a laugh. "Sue me," I said. "Sue me for what, exactly? For stopping the free money pipeline? Please, Logan. I have 2 years of statements showing thousands of dollars in charges at clothing stores, gadget shops, coffee chains, salons, clubs, all coincidentally lined up with your content days. All while you posted about rising from nothing without a handout." Kara's eyes flicked to him. "Is that true?" she asked quietly. He didn't look at her. "She's twisting it. It was all investments, content, networking." I tilted my head. $400 at a cosmetics store. Networking? His ears went pink. Kara spoke again, softer, but there was steel creeping under the fatigue now. "Logan, you told me she was controlling, that she wouldn't let you use your own money." "This is my money," I said. "My name, my cards, my accounts. The only thing of yours involved is your signature on receipts you never paid." He glared at me. "You're destroying my life. My followers are dropping because I can't keep up my content. My car registration expired. I can't afford food. What do you expect me to do?" I stared at him, really stared, past the messy hair and panic, past the excuses. "Get a job," I said. "Content creation is my job," he shot back instantly. I almost admired the reflex. "Your 3,000 followers are not paying your bills," I said quietly. "I was. Now I'm not. That's all that's changed." He stepped closer, and I felt my hand tighten around the edge of the door. "I'll post about this," he threatened. "I'll tell everyone what you did. I'll expose you for being toxic and controlling and vindictive. We'll see how your little reputation holds up when people know what kind of person you really are." For a split second, my stomach clenched. The idea of my name being dragged across strangers' screens made my skin crawl. But then I pictured the comments, the receipts, the screenshot of his text announcing he was moving in with Kara for space while I covered his life. "Go ahead," I said. "Post everything. Be honest, though. Mention how you moved in with your ex-girlfriend while still calling me your girlfriend and using my cards. Mention how you demanded a month of no contact and called it growth while you expected me to keep paying for your brand." I'm sure people will be sympathetic." His nostrils flared. Kara looked between us, like she was suddenly seeing a conversation she wasn't supposed to be in. "Logan," she said slowly, "you didn't tell me she was still paying for everything." He finally looked at her, eyes wide. "Kara, this isn't— Can we not do this here?" The hallway hummed with awkward, electric silence. I felt exhausted, but there was one last thing I needed to say. For me, not for him. "You wanted space, Logan," I said. "You have it. You wanted a month with no contact. You have that too. You wanted to live with Kara. Done. But you don't get all of that and my wallet." I started to close the door. "You're going to regret this," he snapped, voice rising. "You're going to be alone and miserable while I blow up online. Watch." "Maybe," I said, "but at least my credit score will look amazing." The door clicked shut between us. I leaned back against it, listening to the muffled sound of his voice, rising and falling, and Kara's low, tight responses. Eventually, their footsteps retreated down the hall. I stayed there for a moment, forehead resting against the wood, letting my heartbeat settle. The next morning, his Promise smear campaign went live. A friend sent me the link. Logan, sitting in Kara's kitchen, talking into his phone about financial abuse in relationships and how his ex weaponized money to control him. He never said my name, but he didn't have to. He implied enough. I watched it once. The comments were not what he'd hoped for. "So, your ex paid all your bills and you're mad she stopped? You moved in with another woman and wanted your girlfriend to keep funding you? This isn't financial abuse, this is consequences. This is so cringe, delete this." By the end of the day, the video was gone. I didn't save it, I didn't need to. What stayed with me wasn't his performance. It was the way his voice shook when he said the word abuse. Like he knew, deep down, that whatever this was, it wasn't that. It was the end of something else. My denial. My version of him. The idea that love and responsibility meant slowly setting myself on fire to keep someone else warm. I closed the app, turned off my phone, and let the quiet settle over my apartment again. Somewhere, he was scrambling to frame himself as the victim. And somewhere inside me, a small, steady voice was starting to say, "Let him." The quiet didn't last. Not really. It just shifted shape. Instead of voicemails from borrowed numbers, I started getting screenshots from people I hadn't spoken to in months. Small circles of mutuals, acquaintances, even one of Logan's older cousins who used to like my budgeting reels. Every screenshot had the same theme. Kara's apartment was becoming a disaster zone. Not physically, emotionally. At first, it was small things. Kara venting in group chats about how Logan forgot to pay her back for groceries again, how he accidentally spent the rent money she gave him on content supplies, how he'd leave dishes everywhere and then film videos pretending he lived a minimalist lifestyle. Then the screenshots turned messier. Kara again. "I think he lied about how much money he had. I don't think he's paid a single bill in 2 months. Then, he used my shampoo and my skincare and drank my protein shakes. All of them." And finally, the one that made me sit up straighter. "Guys, he told me Sienna financially abused him, but now that I'm seeing the actual numbers, I don't think that's true." My phone buzzed again, and for a moment I thought it might be another update about the chaos in apartment 3B. But it wasn't. It was Linda, his mother. I debated answering, but the truth was, she'd always been kind to me, almost painfully kind compared to her son. I picked up. "Sienna," she said, voice trembling in that way mothers do when they're trying to keep from being embarrassed for their children. "Honey, I had no idea." I closed my eyes. About what? "Everything." A breath shook on her end. "He told me he was making good money online, that you were both contributing, that he was responsible." Responsible was a generous word. "He made maybe $200 a month," I said gently, "on a good month." Silence, then a low, horrified exhale. Oh my goodness. I could almost picture her, hand pressed to her forehead, pacing in that narrow hallway of her townhouse. How much debt was in your name?" she asked. 12,000, give or take," I said, across 2 cards. And before she could say it, I added, "I'm handling it. It's fine." "No," she said urgently. "It is not fine. He used you, lied to me, lied to Kara, lied to everyone." There was a sharpness in her tone I had never heard from her, not once in 2 years. "I'm cutting him off," she said firmly. "No more money, no more excuses. If he wants to live here, he works. If he wants to be an adult, he acts like one." She paused. "And Sienna, you deserve so much better than this." My throat tightened unexpectedly. "Thank you, Linda." After we hung up, I sat on my couch for a long time, staring at nothing. Some part of me, a wounded, deeply tired part, felt vindicated. Not because I needed anyone else to take my side, but because the truth was finally louder than the narrative he'd spun. But the saga wasn't done with me yet. A week before the end of Logan's 1-month no-contact journey, he found a new number and texted me. "Hey, love, month's up soon. I've been reflecting. Miss you. Can we talk?" I ignored it. An hour later, "Hello, why are you ignoring me?" Then, Sienna. "Please, things with Kara are weird and I need to leave ASAP." Then, 3 minutes later, "I messed up, I know that, just respond." Then, "Fine, be immature." I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. By the next morning, I had 17 missed calls, 5 voicemails, 3 texts from numbers that looked like burner phones, 1 DM from a mutual friend saying Logan was in crisis and I should do the right thing. The voicemail I listened to was the last one. His voice thick and frantic. "Sienna, I'm sorry, okay? Kara's kicking me out and my mom won't help unless I get a job. You know I'm not built for that kind of life. Please don't leave me like this." Like this. The phrase that meant, "Don't leave me without access to your credit card." Still, some old reflex fluttered in me, the part that had spent years patching his disasters together. But then I remembered something. He wasn't my responsibility anymore. The next escalation came fast. 2 days later, I was sitting at my desk at work when I got a call from the front desk. "Hi, Sienna, but there's someone here asking for you. He's crying." Everything inside me went cold. "Is he short, brown hair, wearing a hoodie?" I asked. A hesitant pause. "Yes." I clenched my jaw. "Send security. I'm not coming down." What followed was a blur. Logan sobbing in the lobby, security escorting him out. Kara's name echoing through the glass as he yelled, "She kicked me out, Sienna. I have nowhere to go." My coworkers watched with a mix of horror and fascination. Afterward, my boss approached my desk, eyes gentle but firm. "Do you need help filing a restraining order?" I let out a long breath. "Maybe." He nodded. "It's better to have one before things escalate." Before things escalate, as if they weren't already unraveling at full speed. That night, I finally called the bank, not to ask for help, but to explain some suspicious charges I'd been reviewing. The representative listened, asked a few questions, then said something that made my stomach drop. "Ma'am, it appears someone used one of your cards to pay the minimum balance of the other card. That violates federal fraud guidelines. We'll be opening an investigation." Fraud. A word I had never imagined in the same universe as my name. But for the first time in months, I felt something like power return to my chest. Not revenge, not cruelty. Clarity. I hung up, stared at the ceiling, and let out a shaky laugh. It wasn't joy, it wasn't victory. It was the sound your body makes when it realizes the crisis is no longer your job to fix. The next morning, I woke with a strange, quiet certainty. I had finally, fully stepped out of the version of myself who kept saving him. And I wasn't going back. 2 months. That's how long it had been since Logan announced, via text, mid-workday, that he was moving in with his ex-girlfriend and needed no contact to grow. 2 months since I'd finally stopped patching the holes in his life with pieces of my own. 2 months since I'd learned just how fast a man's entire ecosystem collapses when it's no longer hooked up to your financial life support. And the fall was spectacular. I didn't hear from Kara directly, but I didn't have to. The updates trickled through mutuals like gossip carried on a breeze. Apparently, Logan lasted exactly 34 days in Kara's apartment. 34. On day 20, he'd used her favorite protein powder for a wellness collab shoot that never materialized. On day 24, he'd borrowed her ring light and broken it, then claimed it was already cracked. On day 31, he'd told her she should pay his half of the rent because he was the talent. By day 34, Kara, who had initially framed herself as his savior, his emotional anchor, his support during this abusive situation, had reached her own breaking point. She served him a written notice to leave. I knew that because she sent a photo of it to me. A full-page letter, taped to their fridge, reading, "You have until Sunday to move your things. This arrangement isn't working." Logan forwarded that same picture to me, captioned, "Look what you caused." My reply was short. "You caused this." He fired back instantly. "I'm going to be homeless. My mom is threatening to make me work at her friend's clinic as a receptionist. Do you know how degrading that is?" My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment before I typed, "More or less degrading than getting your card declined at the grocery store." His response came seconds later. "I hate you." I set my phone down without replying. A minute later, it buzzed again. Then again, 40 messages in a row. I didn't read a single one. Notifications can only scream if you let them. The bank's fraud investigation moved faster than I expected. One crisp email, one short phone call, one firm confirmation. Logan had been using one card to make minimum payments on the other, creating a fake payment loop. A crime, a literal crime. The representative asked if I wanted to press charges. It was tempting. Tempting in the way it's tempting to press on a bruise. Curious, darkly satisfying, but ultimately harmful to yourself. No, I said quietly. I just want it documented. And it was. Every fraudulent charge, every looped payment, every late-night purchase of skincare investments and branded apparel necessary for content. For the first time in years, the debt felt like something with borders, like a mess with edges instead of an endless pit. I slept better that night than I had in months. Logan's influencer career died the following week. Kara's bathroom, where he used to film his mirror-adjacent morning routine videos, became his stage for a final, tragic collapse. Someone sent me the footage. Logan filming a get ready with me in a shirt I'd seen 100 times. Same lighting, same fake pep. And behind the door, pounding like a drumbeat, "Logan, I need to shower. I have a real job." The comments were merciless. Is he okay? Roommate drama? OMG. Same outfit from 2019 LMAO. Are you homeless? What is even happening here? He deleted the video within hours. Then he deleted the account. 3,000 followers gone. His big dream, his identity, his brand, gone. No more curated mornings. No more staged sunsets. No more captions about rising above the haters. Just silence. The next update came from Linda. A text. A photo. Logan wearing ill-fitting blue scrubs, hair unstyled, face pinched. He'd taken the job at the clinic. Her message. He starts Monday. Thank you for not pressing charges. He still thinks you two are on a break. I've explained otherwise. I stared at the picture for a long moment. Not with satisfaction. Not with pity. With distance. The kind of distance you get only after you finally stop trying to fix someone who never intended to fix themselves. Meanwhile, my own life was rearranging itself quietly, almost gently. Without the monthly $1,800 siphoned out of my accounts, my financial world began to level out. The credit cards were on track to be fully paid off in 8 months. My score went up 40 points in 6 weeks. My savings stopped bleeding and started breathing again. It felt like watching a plant revive after months of neglect. New buds, slow growth, signs of life. I grocery shopped without checking my bank app. I went to bed without a knot in my stomach. I heard the sound of my own thoughts again. And then there was Connor. I met him at my climbing gym. Tall, relaxed posture, quiet confidence. The kind of man who listens before he speaks. He was an engineer, practical to the bone. He paid for his own gear, brought his own snacks, even labeled his water bottle. A man after my own spreadsheet-loving heart. We got coffee after a climbing session that left my arms shaking and my lungs full. He asked about my past relationship, not out of nosiness, but out of genuine curiosity. I told him the broad strokes, no dramatics. When I reached the part about Logan using one of my cards to pay the other, Connor choked on his latte. "You're kidding." I shrugged. "I wish." He grinned. "That's not a boyfriend. That's a financial parasite." I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in a long while. We spent an evening going through my old statements, turning what used to be painful into something strangely hilarious. $400 at a cosmetics store, he read aloud. Was he trying to become the product? I snorted. Don't encourage him. We were two people dissecting a failed experiment, not mourning a breakup. It felt healthy, new, steady. Then, inevitably, Logan tried one last time. A different number again. A long message this time, paragraphs about growth, self-discovery, lessons learned. He said he forgave me for overreacting. Forgave me. I stared at that sentence for a full 10 seconds before typing. Who's this? His reply was instant. Stop, you know it's me. I texted back. Sorry, I don't have this number saved. Then, please don't contact me again. He tried to turn it emotional. I'm apologizing. I shut it down. No, you're broke, and you need a sponsor. I'm not that person anymore. Goodbye. Blocked. An hour later, Sarah texted me on his behalf. Madison, no, sorry, I mean Logan is sorry. He'll pay you back. I responded, with what money? He makes $18 an hour. It would take him 3 years to pay half of what he owes. Please stop contacting me. Silence. Clean, lasting silence. A few mutual friends believed Logan's financial abuse story. I let them go. The ones who saw the receipts, literally and figuratively, stayed. Quality over quantity. Always. The last update I got about Logan was a screenshot from one of Linda's friends. His new social media account. Debt-free path, daily money tips. 12 followers, 3 posts, mostly bots. His most recent caption: avoid toxic money dynamics. Choose yourself. Neck comment. Focus on your job, honey. Proud of you. Linda's friend Sharon. I put my phone down. And for the first time in the entire saga, I felt nothing. Not rage, not heartbreak, not satisfaction. Just peace. A quiet, grown-up kind of peace that comes from finally learning the lesson you should have learned a long time ago. Love isn't supposed to bankrupt you, emotionally or financially. Distance isn't punishment, it's clarity. And when someone shows you that they see your stability as a resource instead of a partnership, you close the account. You don't wait for them to move in with their ex to realize it. You walk away, and you rebuild. On your own terms. With your own money. With your own name on every line. Connor and I are planning a trip soon. I pay my half. He pays his. No drama, no panic, no emergency patches. Just two adults choosing each other